Okay, great. My name is Devin Stokes. I'm presenting from upstate New York. My software service that I run is called Gyvlink, and this came out of some frustration that my family was experiencing when our local communities would try to come together and contribute items to help out families and individuals that were in need. A request would go out, and then my wife and I would contribute some items. And we would quickly lose track of the status of the situation. We could not tell whether everyone gave the same items that we did, whether anyone else was participating at all, and how the family was doing now. And so the update process was very slow and frustrating because there was no really central place for everyone to look. And so I built GiveLink kind of out of that frustration as a visual gift registry that nonprofits can use to solicit physical item donations. So the ask up front is kind of like, who should we talk to in Provo who understands community giving, like the social impact space, and what other services should we offer to corporate donors? I'll describe what we're doing right now, and then what are some other uses of our technology, and I'll go into the matching technology that we have briefly. So we learned a lot about the problems that nonprofits deal with in the donation process. We knew what donor pain felt like, but on the nonprofit side, there's a lot of waste in terms of mistargeted donations. So there's a lot of waste in warehousing, sorting, and disposing donations, particularly those that are unmatched. They do not match a need that is present. So we built GiveLink. We do work to verify advocacy organizations, which are usually nonprofits, community groups, and we give them a digital marketplace where they can tag their requests as being of a certain type. They're going to be shared with at-home donors and donor organizations, and we do some digital matching to speed up the process. So we give nonprofits tools like this Registry Builder, so they can build this very familiar looking registry with items and quantities. When it's shared out, a potential donor sees which organization originated this request, who is the staff member there responsible for this program that's requesting these things, and then the items and quantities that you'd be accustomed to with a normal gift registry. But they can also see other donor activity. Even if the items have not been received yet, they can see who's pledged to give certain items to avoid stepping on each other. So it works by a nonprofit having needs from the community. They use the GiveLink service. They create a visual gift registry. We give them back a URL, which is where the name GiveLink comes from. They share the GiveLink in their own social media to their own community who can do giving. We also make it available as a tagged request in our system so that corporate donors who are also tagged can be matched to certain needs based on what their organization is trying to give. And then donors do follow through. They deliver the items to the agency as requested, and then the agency distributes them to the end families that need the items. The families themselves don't actually use the system. We've developed a few features to help differentiate us from the other in-kind service software services, mostly related to speed and automated matching. We have delivered 600 items to date, and this week we've got our 13th state to sign up, and we just got our second United Way to sign up. This is a SaaS platform, so it's a tiered subscription service. The nonprofits come in at like a free tier. We call it Pay What You Want, and all the basic features for soliciting items and being matched to items are there. At the premium levels, we add features like integrations for tax information and looking at historical trends in giving, all of that reporting kind of functionality. The team is myself, super full-time working on this. I have 3 part-time co-founders and then an advisor from New Jersey. And so the ask to your community is, who should we talk to in your community that would be interested in this, who has insight into how communities give? What services should we offer to corporate donors aside from some publicity from their contributions to the process and integrations for tax collection and reporting? And looking at the technology more broadly, we have the ability to do automated matching upon requests. Of course, we're looking at community donations, but what other uses of the technology might there be? So thank you.
Okay, Devin, that's the applause. You may not. Okay, let's see. Now you can see me. So, Devin, we do have room here. So, hands up. Questions for Devin. And I think there's some online as well there. I can't read the chat from here. So, if you're online, I think you can go ahead and unmute and ask your question. But we got one here.
So, this is Seth Robinson. I work here at RevRoad. I'm trying to understand the specific problem that you're addressing, and it looks like there's kind of multiple of them because you have several different input people. Is the primary issue you're dealing with? Yeah, I guess if you could kind of go into that a lot more, and basically how are donors and how are organizations currently dealing with the problem that you're trying to address as strongly as possible?
Sure, there are several problems because there are several parties involved. So for the nonprofit, they deal with problems like waste from mistargeted donations, and then donor churn. And a lot of them also don't have their own social media arms, so that even when they do have campaigns, they struggle to get engagement. So that's one set of problems. For donors themselves, engagement is a thing. Like understanding the impact that you have in giving, what happens when you give an item a week from now. And then corporate donors want to be involved in their communities. Many of them have a corporate social responsibility arm, and they want to be able to do high impact giving in their regions. So for the donor, giving them a visual guide to the current status of a campaign is one of our value propositions. We have a visual gift registry where everyone can see not only the initial request, but also what other donors are pledging to give and what other donors have given. So you don't step on each other buying the exact same items and neglecting things that some family needs. From the nonprofit side, we can increase donor engagement because now they understand the impact that they have. We can tell stories, so we have our own social media channels, and we submit items to local press organizations so that we can promote their campaigns. But also the fact that they can specifically inform the public about what items they should give, it helps to solve the mistargeting problem. So when people just give things because they think a nonprofit wants something, that has to go through the sorting, disposal, or warehousing process, and that's expensive. So by giving them tools to inform the public of what things they should be donating, we eliminate that. And so lastly, on the corporate side, we give them tools. It's a single button click after they've tagged their organization for things that they want to donate. For example, they may do food drives within their company. They may do cold weather clothing. They can click one button. It says find all the matching posts, and it will show them all the posts in their region from nonprofits that are trying to collect those items.
So if I understand it correctly, it's a kind of a marketing and coordination platform between donors and the other people. How do you make money specifically?
It is a tiered subscription service. And so we charge yearly subscription fees to the nonprofits, and the tiers, the low tier, again, is kind of a pay what you want. So they come in for free. If they use the service long-term, we ask that they pay something because we don't want to price out shelters and other people that are doing social good. But at the premium level, we do add features, again, for reporting, for if we need to integrate any of our systems to record tax information, and they want to look at trends in giving, like is our giving going down, is it going up, then we have features for that. We have a thing coming in Q1 called the Donations Marketplace, where corporations will be able to push product and the nonprofits will receive an alert that certain items that they're searching for become available. So we will, not only will we be driving it from the request side, but we'll drive it from the supply side as well. So those are subscription tiers.
Hey, Camden here from Servantor. I've got a nonprofit myself, actually, so this is perfect. But good to meet you. So my first question is, from my side as the consumer, do I have a platform or some sort of page that I'm able to access to be able to customize the list of things that I need? And question number two, is it a plugin for my website?
It is not a plugin. You get a URL back as a nonprofit. Your first question, I think you're talking from the nonprofit's point of view. Do you have a page that you can customize? So every request that you make is its own separate registry. So if you have 3 different giving campaigns for 3 different departments in your nonprofit or at other stages in the year, each giving opportunity has its own give link, and you can distribute those give links in your email. It can replace the lists that you usually have on a website that say, hey, we're collecting these 10 items that no one can interact with. Instead of that, you put the give link there. When a visitor to your site clicks the give link, they're taken to the registry view. Just so there's no registry process for them, they immediately see the view of the request that you put out.
So I guess the registry, is that customizable from my point from?
Oh, entirely, yes. We give you the tools to specify even things like logistical details. Some people want things dropped off, some people want them delivered, new items only, used is okay. All of those details are specified by the nonprofits per campaign.
One of the key questions I have, I've worked in a couple of big nonprofits. I did the global work for a big name. In fact, it's on your list. Transparency, and they didn't have any transparency. I see that as a potential problem. How are you guys going to addressing that with some of the people you're aligning your work with? Transparency and overhead, et cetera, and how much they're paying their executives. It's some pretty huge cost margins when they talk about how the money runs through some of these corporations. And I'm concerned with you. You have a great platform. I love it, but transparency, a lot of these things is going to bleed off into what you guys are doing. I'm concerned about that.
So I kind of have a follow-up question for you. Can you go into more detail, transparency about what exactly the cost of our service, the cost of the goods that are donated, like what in particular?
Well, let's just take one of the examples. Let's just go with some of United Way.
Yes.
At their executive level, everybody's getting paid high 6 figures, more than that. And they say it's a professional model of the cost of how they do business is huge compared to normal businesses. Okay, so the money they receive is badly spent, ill spent pretty much till the actual end person receives the goods. And so my concern is things like that are going to occur because we have social media. 10, 20 years ago, nobody would care, but now everybody sees it, sees the writing and transparency, and then you add another layer of where the money's going through. I worry that you have a great program that could be tainted because of other people who don't spend money wisely.
Well, I think we sidestep that because we are an in-kind service platform only. We do not handle any financial donations at all. There are no monetary transactions happening. When a request goes out, it might be like, we need 2 boxes of masks and 3 dozen gloves, latex gloves or something, because we need PPE for a certain site. That request goes into a visual gift registry and people can donate those items. Those items are going to be delivered or dropped off at some location, and then they're going to be distributed as the nonprofit needs them. But there is no financial transaction that needs transparency because we're only dealing with physical items. To the extent that people need to track the value of those items, we have facilities for doing that and looking at historical trends or whatever you want in time slices. But there should not be any funny business from transparency on the financial side because this is only in-kind donations and everyone can explicitly see what the items are.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks for explaining that. Wonderful, great platform. I do have kind of a niche question to ask you about it. You approaching Provo. Have you done your research on what Provo does with the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and how big that organization is in Utah?
I have not, but
you might not be your market. And that, I'm just not saying we don't want to be, but we're pretty much already linked into everything you're talking about through the organizational structure. So I'm just saying, if you check what they're doing already in the city.
I have not, but I will look into it.
Market-wise, for I think Provo, Utah might be good to look at the homeless community, not just in Provo, but also like the Greater Salt Lake area, as well as the LGBTQ community. That might be a good place to start for you.
Thank you.
Okay, Devin. So we got one last question for you, and that is, what can the 1MC Provo community do for you?
I think you mostly answered that already. I think the suggestions about who I should reach out to there, I mean, that's the best thing, like who to dodge, who to ask. That's the most important thing, because I'm all the way in New York, and I don't know a lot about the community there. So thank you. I appreciate that.
Got it. And I think Amy wanted to connect you with somebody as well, too. So she
I see
can
that in the chat. Yeah.
Okay, let's hear it for Devin one more time and Gyvlink.